We are back, and we are back with potentially the most controversial of the 5 episodes. Today we are in the 4th episode of our feature focus week. We have already discussed hotels in the last episode, or in a Monday episode. Tuesday was all about stations. Then we also had the pools down here. We talked about that one yesterday. A lot of discussion going on, especially for the stations. And here we go today with the UI. Disclaimer right at the beginning. I have built the UI you also have seen on the thumbnail and so on in Photoshop mostly, but obviously there is usage of AI because of the generative fill feature that I use quite a bit to kind of do the UI I want to, and here and there I did use some other kind of little tools to help me out. So if you are fully against, just like lately all the videos have shown that there is a group of people who is fully against, well, then this may not be for you. I did not want to rebuild a full UI in Photoshop or in InDesign because simply there is no way, A, to consume that much energy with my computer, and B, there is no way I have that much time. So I'm sorry if you're against it. I could give you a total video about all the reasoning why I'm in for that and why I'm relatively educated being in that industry for 15 years, but I don't want to make it the point of the video, just as a disclaimer, because people were just like saying that all the time. For all of you who can deal with a couple of things, and mostly like 99% Photoshop usage, and that is it, that's what we are doing. So let's unveil the UI thing here. First of all, there is like a little UI backdrop, the one I used to create the UI, and before we do so, well, actually, let's talk about the UI that we have currently in game. Now, I have a couple of caveats. Actually, I've got a couple of issues with this UI. So it's beginning with the pure looks of it. I feel like it has been great for Planet Coaster 1. It was good for Planet Zoo, but it feels relatively outdated, especially when you go even into like the actual menu. It is, yeah. I'm not feeling this is a modern UI. I'm not feeling this is a very nice user interface design. And when it comes to the UX, well, there's even more I want to talk about. But this is a massive overload of things in your face, and it's not really nice looking. It's not really in the spaces where it belongs to be. And there's just a lot of things going on. I unfortunately couldn't do anything. I've spent over 6 hours redesigning the UI. So just as a little info how much time I actually spent doing this. I couldn't really do everything, but I just want to quickly give you an idea what bothers me the most. I think the sheer usage of screen space is already kind of a little issue for me. Personally, I have a couple of ideas how to improve upon that. The reachability of certain features is kind of crazy as well. So if you click on these menus, you are right away into the menu, but there is like the way to get rid of it. You can't see what's going on behind, and like if you click on these things, why do I not click on the weather? And I've got weather access. Why is there no info about day? Then I need to go here, and like there's a lot of hidden menus here and there, and it's quite a lot. Inside of the menus, I'm relatively happy, to be honest. I'm not really sure how you would do this much better. I do have an idea though. We'll get to that, but there is nothing in particular I find annoying. The only thing I would love to see, but I couldn't really display that too much, is that like how it is in Prehistoric Kingdom, that certain items can just change the texture, opposed to just having, like, let's say for example, this one is a corrugated wall 4.5 meters. Let's type in 4.5 meters and you'll see we'll get all these walls, And also the fun bit is even the thumbnails are not unified. Like some of them are in a weird angle photographed, other ones are in the same angle. Like, why don't we just have one of the items, and once clicking on the items in these color slots, we can also change the texture of them, because apparently we have all these textures. That would make things a lot more easy. And a common problem that people used to have with this is when you, let's say like why people do maybe favor this over here is because you can see all the themes directly, and you don't need to go for the textures. But if I would type in 4.5 meters wood, for example, or like it doesn't allow me to do this, but I should put this before wood. Oh, it's kind of funny why it doesn't tell me if I need to type in the correct thing. Well, this is obviously something that could be improved as well. The fact that you need to type in everything completely correct is a bit of an issue. But if you go for a material, for example, let's do it this quickly, and say, oh my god, where's wood? Down here somewhere. There you go. It only displays the ones made. Okay. stone wall is put into wood. Anyhow, okay, yeah, you can see there's still a couple of issues in here in the experience that could be fixed and would be needed to be fixed first of all. But this is something I couldn't display, but I would love to see it, how the UI helps you finding the right pieces without going through bajillion pieces in the future, you know. That would help quite a lot. You would still have enough pieces that, you know, they can't really change texture, so you would just go and type in, let's say, barrel, and you get all the barrel pieces. That's still fine. But yeah, as I said, this is fairly nice. I like the way it is. But I want to go through the UI I developed with you to talk furthermore about all these things. And I should quickly turn it nighttime, because that should work much better with the lit ones. I figured that the lit ones look better, so we'll go to this one. So here we have the first UI improvement. You can see a couple of things have happened. I decided to go with what many, or if not all, management games do. They do have most of their menu belongings to the top of the screen. So you can see that I got rid of all the kind of controls, the bottom part of the screen, and I made a lot of space. I got rid of the 2 bars we have in the game. Also, at this point, let's just bring up the old UI so you can see it in direct comparison here. There is a lot of improvement in that, because you do not have this. Also, at the moment you can't see the menu anyways, because I'm in this mode. I should go back to this mode though, to make it even more easy for you to see. So here I have all that menu. This menu is the thing I kept. I put it down here, and the top left also stayed, because I kind of like this, you know, it still works fine. However, the top area, also heat maps, would need to be integrated in here too. That's the one I forgot. I just figured the heat map would obviously be in here too. But then all the other controls down here, redo, undo, play, speed control, blah, blah, they go to the top right into a widget kind of item that is super learned by how you use stuff on mobile, you know. And you can even pull it up. You can just click on that arrow and then it swoops to the right hand side. And then, in my opinion, that the only thing that would need to be done is kind of, you know, put these in here, like just redo, undo would be the only one sticking out, and then you go in. About the icons, I just plopped a couple in. Realistically, you would need to have like a weather icon in here too, but I at some point got just lazy to put all in the icons. I would love to have this like widget back that we had in Planet Zoo anyways, and you click on that and you've got the full slider control over the weather, somewhat like how you have it in this mod over here. When you go into override, you can just basically slide the time of day. That would be lovely. But yeah, you can see everything also in terms of the design. It's a little bit hard to tell, but everything got a little gradient. It's somewhat 89% like solid. It's not fully solid. There's a slight transparency in it. It's not really easy to tell because it's just a gray background I chose, but like there's a tiny transparency behind, and we have a hard outline. It's not a shadow, it's like a little bit embossed, almost like. So you have that little embossed outline, somewhat similar to these icons, but this is much more pronounced in the design I went for, so that it gives the whole thing a bit more modern and light feel. And again, with this arrow, you can bring certain things down, which I'll get to in a second. But now, as you can see, we've a lot more screen space available, specifically to the ground. We actually win quite a lot of space, and as you can drag this thing to the side, this will help quite a lot. You could also see that this kind of outline, I dragged that from this little thing popping in. So there is already an element like that in, but I just kind of modernized that by pulling that out. Anyways, let's move this thing a little bit over to reveal the next kind of UI element. You'll see this in a bit. So there's quite a lot of things happening here. We have now, again, I took inspiration from a lot of different games, and what I did is, and you may recognize this is the park management menu you'll get if you click on one of these things. This is brought down by a simple click, and then you've got all the different menus you can go into. And I am aware that this is actually one more click in comparison to when you go down here and click on these things. But to be fair, it's not necessarily one click more, because you only have these 3 available. But if you, for example, want want to go to research or to guest, you can't do it over here. You need to go to the park management before, which is this menu over here, and then you go down into the menu. So actually it's not even a click less, it's actually in a way a click more. But what I did is on a hover or on console, you need to do that with shoulder buttons, you actually get a bit of an overview what's going on. And you can see in here, in my opinion, in my specific case over here, staff is highlighted, and then you can get an overview of how many staff area people you have, and it gives you an idea to who that is, and you could immediately jump to this person if you want to, and you could click all these things and blah blah blah. So this is definitely a way of getting the access much quicker without the need to completely have the full menu thrown in your face, which I find always super annoying. You still get all the other controls, and that's super nice indeed. So that is an idea I had to kind of also draw all the inspiration from mobile. And yes, I'm aware I would need to put that thing a little bit further to the left and just align it to the side. That would be nice, or you can use the full width, but whatever, I just put it here to show that there's like a semi-transparency also behind that one. So the more you go down, the lighter the menu gets, which is also like the philosophy in that design I had, and then it just has these more pronounced icons. Again, on these screens it's not as clear as it would be in a real UI, but I guess you get the idea. Now, getting over to the next step, there you go. There is another layer I also implemented just to showcase. This is if you don't bring down the menu, you can just hover over the elements over here, and it gives you a tiny little bit of a summary. If we do this right now, nothing is really happening. You click on it and you just get all the info, and you're like, oh my god, this is not what I wanted to see. So this is just the idea to have a boiled down version of, like, for example, if you would hover over the money, it's unlimited over here, but you can see at the moment park value, park cash. This doesn't matter, but if you have like a park profit, this is exactly what you want to see. This cost breakdown over here is what interests you the most. So I need to click 1,000 times to go into whatever. So just hovering over here or second button click would help quite tremendously, but down here it's like annoying to reach. Imagine having that to the top, just hover over, you get the info. It's basically like in all the, like either it's in Anno or in Manor Lords or in Foundation, in all these kind of games, you're so used to having that. Also, if you click on the park, change the name of the park or whatever, that is super easy to, like Prestige, showing where the problems are. Weather, if you hover over here, you get a little info of what the next weather event is. So basically information taken out of this one over here. If we go to this setting back, you get all these info. You don't need everything sometimes, because if you see that, you can see temperature, blah blah blah, but if you hover over that one, you'd see just the next weather event, and if you go for the next day, it's the weather forecast for the next day. And so that would make accessibility so much more simple. Okay, move on to the next image. Go over here. I think that's the last one in this row. Yes. There's one last thing I wanted to quickly talk about when it comes to the top menu, because that's one of my biggest changes I did. This is the idea of dragging down the whole thing for latest informations of guest thoughts and so on, which would be dragging down here. From the guest would be giving you these information. Do the same for like prestige. You get all the prestige info. Do the same for money. You get a bit more compact money info, so that this would be like a slide down thingy, like almost like the notification bar on a phone. And if you need more, and this is, by the way, let's not focus on this button. I did this last minute as an idea to jump into the menu here. You could do this much nicer looking than this, but just for the thought, food for thought, you click on this one and this brings you then finally down into the menu, which in our case would be this one over here. Yeah, that would be bringing you into this tab fully. But what I really dislike, I don't know why. I mean, I like the fact that we have color in these icons, but then again, I dislike it. As you can see, I took out the color of these things, and I still believe it works. I still believe it works fine. And just imagine everything is a little bit more poppy and a bit more contrasty in the real version, and not on the billboard, which scales down the quality quite a bit. But I wanted to do this in Photoshop, so in Planko, and not in Photoshop, because that would have been a boring video anyway. So yeah, this is that, and also we do have the UI as for a comparison right away. But yeah, you can see this is how you also still have quite a lot to see. And again, there's this slight transparency in here, so you can always kind of tell what's going on in the background, to not drag you out of your immersion, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So there is even more. I'm just going to move back here and slide this one open. Woo! And this is maybe the most... Hold on. This is maybe the most controversial yet biggest reveal. I am aware that this might be shocking, but I have moved our beloved item draw menu to the left-hand side, just like Jurassic World Evolution 3. And yeah, let that sink in for a moment. What I did here is, this is one version. You could also stretch the whole thing out to the top like it is in Jurassic World Evolution. But I figured, because I was playing both games for so much lately, and I'm talking about 100 hours each in the last 3-4 months, quite a lot. So I have the direct comparison a lot of times that I switch between games. And when I first played the couple first hours in Jurassic World Evolution, I thought this menu on the left with the items would kill me and would annoy me to bits. But interestingly enough, it grew on me. And I can tell you a couple of reasons for that. In a world where screens get wider and wider opposed to taller and taller, the idea of having more screen space because it's getting wider opposed to taller is real. So imagine this is a typical 16:9 screen, which is not outdated yet, but it's not maybe not even the average. It's 21:9 is a size that many people have, or ultra wide screens. So just imagine winning even more real estate. However, in the way we have it right now, you don't necessarily win any more real estate. No, you just get a wider and wider screen. So this is why I decided to go for this version. It is very much something that I really would love to see this way. Also, what I did, and this was, to be honest, I just sent that to a Gemini render to see what Gemini comes up with my description I had in mind before I was doing this. And Gemini, weirdly enough, put the search down here opposed to the top. And I figured that's not too shabby of an idea. So I took this version instead of mine because I like the idea of having the search here. Simply for the reason, if you go over, it just feels more natural reaching here with the mouse opposed to top here. It's just quicker from building type in the search, have the filters apply here, and then have the items here. And what I also figured in Jurassic World Evolution, it just kind of feels a bit more natural, grabbing your piece and dragging that over into your menu. Also, a huge advantage would be, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do that, that was just one layer more, but you now need to imagine. If we go, for example, let's say go to a Ghost Coaster, we have these information panels pop up. If you hover over these, I like them. I like these information panels quite a lot. However, what I really dislike is that they are always jumping in their position. If I go from the left to the right, you can see it always jumps and it just comes with me, and it always goes into a different space of the screen, and you have to move your eyes quite a lot with these things. And the wider your screen is, it definitely is annoying to have them all moving that much. However, if you would have that here, you could always have the window be attached here to the right hand side and use the space available. Just go a bit more into it. So I mean, yes, it takes away more screen space, but so do these things. There's no way why it wouldn't. But it could always stick here to the top or to the side, because whenever you go through, you can keep your eye basically in this space, and you can just go with your mouse, because in your peripheral kind of view, you can see where you're clicking. And so this would make things so much more simple and easy to go with. And I really like the fact that this would help quite a bit. So I am a big fan by now of the left-handed menu. In the perfect world, obviously, you could have both options and just go with your eye cursor here and drag it down, and it just would plop again to your used position. I'm fine with this too. I think I would be able to build with both, and I would be happy with both. But I'm still debating a little bit in my head what I would like more. But I think I would go for the left-hand menu version. And one thing that I fiddle around with is taking the lower menu, as you can see, and I plop this to the left-hand side with like icons or like these little flags and put them below. And I also asked Gemini, but all stuff was crap what they did, and all these kind of things just didn't really work out. And so I did this with Firefly, like Firefly is the Adobe image generation, which is utter crap, to be honest. So you can't really use anything in Photoshop opposed to the generative fill, which is okay. But yeah, so whatever I tried, it just didn't work. And the more I thought about this, just clicking through these menus and having a different menu here on the left-hand side is fully okay, in my opinion. I think that would absolutely work. And then have this lower menu over here with another little Frankenstein version of the AI. But I actually thought this is cool. This would be cool to have, like, this is like the top categories, and this is more like the subcategories, and will save you even more screen space. So you can jump relatively quickly between all these different categories, and then you go into here and you can easily select these areas. This is the one area where potentially consoles get a bit of a problem, because on console, and this is why most of the menus are built the way they are built, like if you click deeper into the menus, you can see, like if you go here, for example, or here, you can see we have these tabs, and even more pronounced this is when you go to building pieces, and then you go to fences, or like, let's say this one, for example, the framework, you have another tab. You get all these drawers coming in here. And on computer, you can easily go back to the main area here, which is then to all. But on console, if you are down here in one of these item lists where you have like another one, you just need to click away twice until you're here. So I'm not entirely sure how that would work in this specific case, because you can then select down here. Maybe you need to do that with the shoulder buttons, that you just click a shoulder button and you're down in the main search and then back into the top one, and you flick through here with the, I don't know, dash arrow thingy, how's that thing called? Like not the joysticks, but the other kind of arrow thing. Anyhow, so this is that. I've got one last thing to show, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Whoops, I'm just back in here, and this is this is obviously the full story, so to say. This is the menu. This is basically, whoops, hold on. This is basically this menu over here. This menu, but changed up quite a bit. As you can see, this is the background is still visible somewhat. There is not the full on overlay. It is a semi-transparent overlay. I worked with the exact same thing. The only thing I did is I used all the icons and just very shabbily made them fully blue with a gradient, because I don't know, guys. It just, these don't grow on me. I don't know. I don't really like them. I mean, I see the vision in it, but I don't feel like they're super modern. They're like, I don't know. They're okay, but not more than that, And as I didn't want to completely develop completely new ones, I went with the gradient first of all. And even though gradient isn't super modern, I tried to pair a little bit the material design of Google and the liquid glass of Apple. This is why obviously the top right over here is pretty much inspired by the Apple notification center, or you could also say Google. I mean, they look fairly similar by now. I reduced some of the heaviness in all these things by just using outlines and then these things. And again, I kept actually these two control panels in here because I thought it's kind of interesting to reach them relatively quickly, because this overlay would be a thing that you could quickly exit over here, and then you're back in, and you don't want to have the constant plop in of certain relevant menus, which I think is why it would be really good to see all your relevant info. And I'm a big fan of having the menu and the park still keep playing, because if I go and play the game, for example over here, and now I go into the menu, so park management, the game automatically goes to pause, which honestly I don't want. I think this would be a improvement that goes over the menu far away. Why is it raining all of a sudden, by the way? I really would love to see. Oh, because I changed this. No thunderstorms. Let's go to clear. I really want to see that the game continues to play, and I can still pause it if I think I need to do something super time pressure-y and I need to do that and whatever. I can still pause the game easily up here, but if I feel like I just opened the park. I want people to come in while I do some micromanagement. I want this to happen while the game is on play. I find it super stupid that whenever you go into the menu, it's paused. I mean, obviously it's paused because you can't see what's going on in the background, right? I mean, there is a logic behind, but I'm not like backing this logic. I want to see what's going on in my park, and even if it's just about this semi-transparency, or I just know what's going on, or I can actively pause it myself. You decide, but I definitely want to see that improvement. Now, that's it, guys. That's mostly it. I am, as I said, a big fan, I guess, of this change. I am, hopefully, I could really get you guys in the vibe of what I'm envisioning. And as I'm not a UI designer, I work a lot with UI designers, and I've got some very nice colleagues who are pretty much brilliant in that, but unfortunately they didn't want to do that for me, so I needed to do this myself. And yeah, again, just as for the disclaimer for the AI, I'm tired of discussing that all the time. I am aware that the way how these models have been trained, there's no way of getting any good out of it. However, the problem is, if we start talking about this, we need to start about Spotify, we need to start about Amazon, Netflix. They all have their crap going on, which is unfortunate, I know. And this is why, for example, I have been boycotting Spotify for the longest. I've been running on Napster as long as it's been somewhat possible, but at some point there was like no music anymore available, and again, also for streamers and YouTubers, all of a sudden all these kind of copyright free playlists were all on Spotify, and at some point, I couldn't stand the pressure anymore, and also my whole family was on Spotify and invited me into the family account, and that was that. But if it was for me, I would never touch Spotify. I think this is what Spotify did is way worse than the potential illegal training of the AI, because if you look into the legal stuff, how that actually is, it's not that simple. But I don't want to bother you too much with. If you're interested, hit me up in Discord or whatever. We can discuss about that. I've been studying this thing for years, so it's something I've been going deep down into. But I'm just tired of all the discussion. Well, you've been tuned out anyways if you're against it. So I guess if you're still with me, that's that. And again, as I said, 95% I've done in Photoshop myself with all the tools available. That's why it also looks so crappy at some point. But I'm fairly proud of the idea behind this. It's not about the full design yet, but it's about the idea, making everything more quick, more accessible, more usable, and more aligned with typical kind of management games, because I think the builder part of things in the drawer and so on is already pretty good. And what we didn't really talk about, obviously, is the building menu itself, but I think everything in here just is fine. I've nothing really to complain about that. This window over here would then just be adjusted with the design, I would say, but I'm fine. I'm happy with this. I also am a big fan of the radial menu if we have it. I don't use it often enough, but I'm still a big fan of it, that you have quick access to all these tools. So I don't really have too much to complain about that. It's really more about the management and stuff. Getting to staff zones, for example, was horrific, but just imagine you have that now in here, staff, and then have like a button down here, staff zones, boom, you're there, and then you can just, quickly add people into the staff zone by another window attached to that from over here. Maybe make that drop down context based. Obviously, to make that UI, you would need hundreds of hours to go into all the implications it would have. But yeah, as I said, I'm kind of happy with it. So let me know your feedback, and also let me know what is your biggest issue with the UI currently in game. Also, it doesn't matter if you're on console or on computer, because it's very much the same. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. And again, as for tomorrow, let's just quickly bring up the time of day here. As for tomorrow, the last thing we're going to talk about is weather and graphics. That one is going to be a bit more, how to say, we can't really have that much to show, but I will show you some stuff nevertheless. And yeah, well, we talk about that, and I've got a lot of thoughts that we haven't discussed previously, but we will be talking quite a lot about weather again. We will be talking about some general graphics things I've found out lately. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully you're still interested, you're still with me, and in case you haven't seen the other three, the hotels, the stations, the pools, make sure to watch them as well. They're all available to you via easy click or just go via my channel. And now the last thing, if you guys want to support me, please ensure to either, you know, hype the video or like become a member of the channel or do whatever thing is right. You can also obviously, first of all, sub to the channel if you haven't already, or you buy a game via Instant Gaming, even though I may not have that partnership for too long anymore because just way too few people purchase via the link. I'm guessing that, you know, money-wise, people are all struggling the same, so it's obvious that people can't buy that much. But just so you are aware, it may be that this partnership is gone relatively soon, so use it as long as it's there. And I'll talk to you to the next one. Have a good one, and bye.